This is For Advisors by Advisors. I'm your host, Evan J. Mayer, and today we have a very special guest, Mr. William Youngerman. How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing great, Evan.
Awesome. So Bill is the owner and founder of WilliamYoungerman.com and of William Youngerman Inc., which has been around locally here in Boca Raton since 1967. Is that right?
Yeah, actually 67, we started in Miami, moved up to Boca Raton in 1976.
76. Okay, so started down in the Aventura area or?
Actually North Miami.
Oh, okay, great. And I always like to say how I met the person I'm interviewing. So Bill was referred to me back in 2010. I started saving money. I had some money, and I had a friend of mine named Seth Klein who came to me and said, you really should start buying physical gold and buying physical metal. And he said, start with gold. He actually said, start with silver, then start with gold, and then work your way up to platinum. And I did that for a while. And then a friend of mine, client of mine, who's known you for a long time, Tim Nielsen, said, you got to go see Bill. He's the best. He's been around forever. And prior to dealing with Bill, I actually was buying online through a company called Tolving. Have you ever heard of Tolving?
Yes, I have.
So the interesting thing about Tolving was I had bought a couple orders through them prior to you. And then literally 2 weeks prior to buying, they had gone bankrupt. And I don't know what that circumstance was or what happened. But ever since then, I'm like, I am buying through Bill. I got to meet you, and it was a pleasure and very easy to deal with you. So thank you.
No, our joy.
So tell us a little bit about your history in the business. I mean, look, at 67, there's probably not a lot of people that are still in the business that have done it as long as you. Tell us how you got started in it, how it worked in Miami, then the move to Boca, and then what's been going on recently.
Okay, yes. As it says, I've been in business since 1967. Started as a very young man. I was actually a boy, and around age 12, I started actually dealing in rare coins. And by age 13, I was taking tables at local coin conventions in the Miami area, and then started a coin business in a hobby store down in Miami that was I was working for them, and I was running stamp department. They never did anything in coins, and I said, well, you really ought to get in the coin business, much more profitable. So I got them into the coin business as well. And then as well as running my own coin business. And it just grew from there.
And what made you move up to Boca?
1976, I got married, and Miami was getting Miami, and we decided to come up to Boca Raton. It was actually a very quiet place at the time, and it's grown dramatically since 1976, but we love it up here.
For sure. And how long have you been in the Bank of America building there?
Bank of America, we started actually in 1980 in the Bank of America. And we were in Bank of America there for 4 years in 1984. And then in 1984, 85, I built a office building on Federal Highway, just within walking distance of the Bank of America. And we were in that building for about 15 years. And then I sold the building and moved back into the Bank of America.
Why?
Well, I actually thought I was going to retire.
Okay.
And I had 2 boys at the time, and they were quite young, but then they said, don't retire. We want to be in the business also and all that. So I said, okay, keep it going. And I really love the business. I not just the business, but the meeting the people, and also the fact that I am a really ardent collector of rare coins and currency and stuff myself. So I enjoy all of that. And so they've come along, and it's where we're at now.
So as far as clientele that comes in, I know people that are starch really big into it, like 80% of their portfolio would be in precious metals and things along those lines. And then there's the one-off people that come in there and maybe buy an ounce or two and then maybe get started collecting. And I initially had bought a few and bought 10 at a time and then 10 at a time. And then just as money came in, started to do it. What percentage of your business is people that are big time collectors or big time, and then what percentage of your clients are people that are like one and done?
Mm-hmm. That's a hard question to answer, because we have collectors and customers actually for over 50 years. Some of our customers are with us, and some of them we've built major collections for in rare coins and in currencies and stuff. Others are just strictly precious metals buyers, and they buy whenever they have money and they sell sometimes too. There's a time to buy and a time to sell. And so we've been able to enjoy that customer relationship with many of our clients for many years, and in the in and in the outs. And that's one of the questions people ask often is that, well, I understand you're selling it, but what do I do? Who do I sell it to? I said, you sell it right back to us. Anything we sell, we guarantee to buy back.
And you buy back at spot plus whatever the markup might be. And the markup is how you make your money at the end of the day with those individual buys and sells. Is that fair?
Yes, that's pretty much it. There's a very small percentage markup on the precious metals, and on rare coins, it's a little bit more because it's harder to get them and it's a little bit more involved in holding and everything else. Whereas precious metals can be bought by us, hedged by us, and held by us, and then traded for just a small spread that we make on them.
So talk to me a little bit about that. So I initially bought bars, and those are like packaged and protected. And I was always told you want to keep those in the package because you don't want anybody going around saying this is dented and paying less. Now, I've never sold any gold, but I'm guessing that's an accurate statement.
Yes, for the most part, gold being very soft, it's usually they come packaged or tubed, depending on the quantity and what kind of product it is. And if it's mishandled, then it gets easily scratches, dents, and things like that. And that doesn't make it very retail friendly for us. A person comes in and looks at a coin, and it's all scratched up. They don't want to. So coins that get that way, and people, they do get mixed up and scratched and damaged. And those we buy, we still buy them for the gold value, maybe less a percentage point. And then we end up melting it or sell it to the jewelry trade, who then melts it down and fabricates it into jewelry.
So you'll at least get it back for the price of whatever the spot price of gold is at the time.
Correct.
Kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And there's been times where I've gone in when markets were not in turmoil. During the pandemic was when we saw a starch amount of clients coming in saying they wanted physical gold. And I know the coins always had an intrinsic value to the actual coin on top of the precious metal dollar, but there was times you guys were actually selling the coins for whatever the gold price was. Is that because there was an amount of inventory that was significant that the markup didn't have to be on that per se?
The supply and demand factors are very big on precious metals coins. Now, the other thing that we're vulnerable towards changes in price structure is due to the mints not being able to produce the product fast enough. That's what we've seen over the last couple of years after the pandemic. The demand for physical gold and silver just became extremely, and to the point where some mints were 3 to 6 months down the road for delivery purposes, which makes it almost impossible to trade. Therefore, the premiums on the coins and bars that were in existence rose dramatically, certainly on the US products, especially, which are very popular. Silver Eagles, the premium rose up to $15 over the price of silver. And at one point, silver was $18. You're almost paying twice the price for a Silver Eagle because of the shortage of them and the demand. And similar with the Gold Eagles. But there were other products that we handle to make compensation for our customers. Say, don't buy that high premium coin right now, buy these and you'll save a lot of money. You'll get extra gold, extra silver, whatever you're buying. And so and that shortage is still going on in the US products, but we've got so many other products that we have in stock that we can help people save dramatically on their premiums that they pay. That's what you want to do when you're buying gold, silver, platinum for bullion purposes. You want to get it as close to the price of the spot metal price as you can.
Yeah, at the end of the day, especially with the concepts of hyperinflation, the coin value, if it ever got to that nuclear war type of scenario, the value of the gold is really all that counts.
Yes, or it could be actually the opposite. We could actually see a day when there people are lined up down the street to buy precious metals from us, and we can't get the precious metals anymore. And in which case, those that have the gold or the silver or the platinum will make the market, and that premium could be enormous for physical. And I think we could actually see that in the near future.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, we're in a situation right now where the governments of the world are printing as fast as they can. There's absolutely no restraints on this. And the dollar, which has been the store of value worldwide, has now got a lot of competition. There's the BRICS out there that are trying to change everything and build their own little consortium of what they're going to use for currency, a reserve currency, which is what the US dollar is. And that's putting some pressure on the US dollar and a lot of concern on people's store of value for dollars. I mean, if the dollar starts taking a second place to other currencies of the world, we could be in some serious situation where the buying power of the US dollar is dramatic. We're also in the foreign exchange business. We have a foreign exchange department in our company, and we deal in about 60 different world currencies. And we just had people come in all the time and they're going to Colombia or they're going to Argentina. I had a man come in the other day and pick up his Argentine pesos that he ordered from us. And he had a stack of bills 4 inches high that wouldn't buy much more than a few dinners. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, let's hop in there. The international market down here is significant, specifically in Miami. It's huge. And so a lot of them are doing offshore things. And I actually interviewed a couple of advisors that deal with international clients. And the biggest concern for those international clients is they come in with their money from Argentina or wherever, and literally like within a year, their currency is devalued by 99%. So they're looking to buy hard metal. What percentage of your clients are international?
Actually, quite a few,
Yeah.
maybe 10 or 20% international. Of course, the foreign exchange is a different story, but we do shipping all over the world, and this is very international anymore. It used to be when I was in the business in the early 60s or in the 60s and 70s and even in the 80s, if I wanted to bid in an auction sale in Europe, and I ended up flying over to Europe 4 times a year sometimes to do sales and stuff. Now we do it at our computer and never have to leave the country or never even get out of our office or anything.
So the online business has grown substantially over the last 5-10 years.
Tremendously, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then, so there might be a point in time where that's 90+% of your business.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your kids are still involved in it?
Yes.
Awesome. That's awesome. How should somebody get started? Do you normally see people get started with silver because it's cheaper and they can buy a little bit more and they feel a little bit more comfortable with it? Or is it gold? I hopped in with a little silver and then mostly gold right away.
We usually advise people to start slow, do some learning. The thing is that there's no reason to not do your homework, and it's so easy. You can go online and you can get so much information, some of which is not correct, but you have to sift through that, and then you can pick a dealer whom you feel comfortable with. We encourage people to deal with Professional Numismatist Guild members. That's about 250 dealers worldwide that are the top dealers in the country in rare coins and precious metals. And we also have an affiliate of the PNG, which is the Accredited Precious Metals Dealers, which we are a member of also. So these are dealers who have to adhere to a strict code of ethics and have to guarantee to buy back anything that they sell. In other words, if you sell something, you can't say, I don't want that anymore. You have to have at least some kind of a evaluation back to the people. And you also have to guarantee everything is genuine forever. So we stand behind everything we sell, and any members of the PNG or the Accredited Precious Metals Dealers have to do.
When I first started buying the precious metals, platinum was selling at a big premium to gold. And in the last few years, platinum has been selling at a huge discount to gold. Why?
Yeah, platinum is actually 15 times rarer than gold. And for most of history, it sold for more than the price of gold, and sometimes substantially more. Platinum was heavily used in catalytic converters up until recently, when the manufacturers of cars decided, hey, we can switch to palladium. Palladium used to sell for, let's just say, $150 an ounce when platinum was $800 an ounce. And so they said, we can buy palladium. Well, what they failed to realize somehow is that palladium is a byproduct of platinum. And so for every ounce of palladium that they had to buy, which was also much covered or controlled by Russia, they had to mine for platinum. So in the process of switching over their manufacturing to palladium, they were mining platinum, getting the palladium started going up in value dramatically, and platinum was being sold off as a byproduct. And what they basically found out is maybe palladium is much rarer than platinum. And so as a result, palladium is now almost about $2,000 an ounce, and platinum is a little over $1,000. But I still think platinum is a better buy, and I think long-term that they will probably go back more and more. And some countries have already gone back to using platinum in some of the truck catalytic converters and other things. But historically, it was always much better product or much rarer than gold.
So you would, in your expert opinion, platinum is a buy here if you're a long-term investor.
I really like platinum here. Yeah, it's actually finally basing out. It got down very cheap in 800 areas or less, and now it's building a base, and the base has been higher, and it's now just over $1,000, and I think it's a tremendous opportunity.
Talk about the coins. Now, when I've gone to see you guys, you'll say, why don't you get a couple of these coins, I'm only buying them at the valuation of the metal anyway. But some coins are darker and some coins are prettier looking. Why are some like gold coins look like they just don't look nice, and some look beautiful?
Yeah, there's a couple of factors involved in that. Some coins, like for instance, Krugerrands, are not pure gold. They're not 99 fine. Maple Leafs are 999 fine in some cases, or the new ones are 49s fine. The U.S. Gold Eagles are not. They're the same purity as the Krugerrands.
Which are what?
They're 22 karat.
Okay.
So what happens is that the alloy that they use will change the color of the gold, the appearance of the gold. So sometimes they use sort of a silver alloy, silver copper, and some use no silver at all as the alloy. But the coins actually weigh more than an ounce to make up for that alloy so that they contain a pure ounce of gold, Krugerrands, U.S. Eagles. Now, the Maple Leafs have come up, when they came out with the first Maple Leafs back in 1979, they came out with the idea of competing against the Krugerrands with a pure gold coin. So they refined the coin to 999, 3 nines fine gold.
Yep.
And it made it very desirable for
investors. It's a pretty coin.
Beautiful coin.
Yeah.
And then in about 1982, I think it was, or so, they changed that and they refined it to 4 nines fine. 4 nines,
Yeah.
And on one occasion, they actually made a special commemorative Maple Leaf that actually went to 5 nines fine. We have a few of them in our stock. They don't make them anymore, but these things take tremendous amount of work and refining process to get them to that fineness.
So there's actually a huge markup for those kind of coins, because not only are they so hard to make, but they're so rare.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Currencies, dealing with old dollars, I see, like old currencies of years past.
Yes.
Now, in a world of stability, right, those should continue to increase in value, is my guess. Are people investing in these with the concept of the history aspect along with the value aspect?
Yes. Art history, the romance of owning a banknote from the 19th century or 18th century is very fascinating. It's actually a field we got into in about 1990. Gold was very boring at the time. The metals were doing nothing. And we looked around, as we have over the years, for our investors to find an area that we felt was undervalued. And at the time, we looked at currency, rare U.S. currency, as being very undervalued. Items that were 1, 2, 5, 10 known to exist were less than $1,000 in some cases. If that was a coin, $1 million. So we said, let's look at some of this. And we started buying it and sharing it with our customers, and they started being attractive. I also, at the time, started building a collection of Florida banknotes from the territorial period of Florida all the way to the last banknotes that were issued.
You have a website dedicated just to that?
We do, yes. We have my collection is called the Hometown Currency Museum. It's hometown.currency.org. It's free. And it's got the most complete collection ever assembled of one state's currency, which is for Florida. It covers from our colonial times all the way forward to the end. It also has thousands of tokens that were used when money was scarce in our state and throughout the country. It has documents from the governors for the first 100 years of our Florida governors. There's signed documents that we have on the museum site. A host of things, 144 different categories of Florida money and memorabilia that people can enjoy. Cool. And a lot of the colleges use the site to teach it.
It's very cool. Very neat. This is the time where I think I've always been an anti-crypto guy, okay? When I say cryptocurrencies. And for years, when I say for years, for the last 5, 6, 7 years, the concept was Bitcoin and these coins are going to take over for precious metals. And I always would laugh and say there's actually there's no value there. There's no scarcity there. And they will go, there is scarcity. There's only 21 million that can be mined. And I said, but you can't physically touch it. And the conversations we would get are kind of funny. Now that FTX has blown up over the last few weeks, it's almost like I told you so for precious metal people. Do you feel the same way?
Absolutely. We've been warning our clients for years on this. And it's a tulip craze that has taken on people to losses that you just can't imagine, and the potential for losses and the potential for fraud. And it just goes on. And I just see no reason for it.
Yeah, there's some technology that's behind it that is interesting. The question is, how do you monetize that technology?
Yeah, and it's an interesting technology, because I think it's the technology that is leading into down the road, when I don't know, my lifetime, I don't know, but I think it's going to lead into a cashless society, which certain governments of the world are certainly pushing for.
Yep.
They want to control every dollar you have. They want to control where you've got it from and where it's going. And it's one of the ways they can do it. But up until the last 20 years, we had no way of even conceivably thinking about doing a one world currency. They tried back in the Latin Monetary Union back in 1879. Actually, the United States actually created a pattern coin with the idea of coinciding our coinage with the coinage of Europe, Latin Monetary Union, where they had all the 20 franc size coins in Europe. And then they created a thing called a $4 gold piece in the United States, which was called the Stella because it has a star on it. And that pattern, of course, it failed the attempt to do so, but the patterns themselves are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, even some of them $1 million. But the idea has not been able to be put together yet. And it requires a lot of extreme situations like governments to come into an agreement with something. And you can see they tried that in the Euro countries, and it ebbs and flows with the power and the strength of any individual country. And so that's basically failed, but it's still the same concept that they've been trying to do for many centuries, and that is have a one world currency. And to do that, you got to have some other one world things like a one world concept of a government or something of that nature.
Talk a little bit about, advisors have said to me, why would I suggest clients buy physical metal? Why don't we just buy the ETFs that are based on gold like GLD? And my argument has always been, supposedly it's a SARE, supposedly it's there, but if you ever really need your gold, are they going to be able to send it to you? What are your thoughts on the gold ETFs and the gold instruments that are not the physical gold?
Yeah, we strongly believe everybody should have a percentage of their wealth in physical metal that they can actually put their hands on. The ETFs the prospectus is huge, and whether they're actually buying the physical metal or using other means to do it is questionable. And the problem is you can't take physical delivery. And now on certain cases or large positions can be taken, but it's very complicated. The average person doesn't need that. Now, having said that, I have recommended people who are in the trading business. They buy a gold and they'll come in and say, I want to buy 10 ounces of gold or 100 ounces of gold today, but I'm going to probably sell it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Unless you know something that I don't know and that gold's going to jump $100 or $200, I can understand that. But for the most part, I tell them, hey, if you're going to do that, just buy the ETF. Push the button today and push it again tomorrow, and you're in and out.
Yep.
Because you really aren't buying physical gold. You're buying.
In that case, they can even buy the leveraged ETFs too, if they really wanted to.
Exactly. If they want to speculate on, that's a different story. That's totally different investing than what we're talking about. We're talking about a store of value that preserves the buying power of your wealth in the long term. And it should be at least some percentage of your assets.
Talk a little bit about government regulation. When I walk into your shop, I feel very secure. Number one, I'm in Boca, so it's a really nice area. You walk outside, you're not afraid of getting robbed. And your place has cameras and it's got these protection glasses, and you walk in there and you feel really safe. I guess this is a two-part question. One, when you get shipments of gold in and stuff, I'm guessing you have people there with guns and they're there to protect it and so on. So part of my question is how, at this point, you've been in it a long time, you're probably not nervous, but what kind of measures do you go to protect? And then two, the government, since you are a cash business or a cashier's check business for precious metals, do you feel like they audit you more, they look into you more, and or based upon your credentials and the associations you're with, that you kind of avoid that?
Yeah, at this point, we don't have a lot of government intervention. There's a very important area of it that involves the laundering of money and things that people have to adhere to. We have a policy and we have the attorneys that handle all that. And that's all set up so that we're 100% compliant with those situations or those regulations. And so that's just part of being in the business. But whether the government is going to down the road, a lot of people say, suppose the government comes to you and they confiscate your records and they come to me and they say they want to recall my gold or my silver, or they want to take it away from me. Is that possible? Certainly it happened in 1929 when we went off the gold standard, and they came in and they gave you a $20 bill, a Federal Reserve note for your $20 gold piece. And then they devalued the currency by about 75% after they got all the gold back.
Yep.
I don't necessarily see that happening, and at least not in my lifetime or anytime soon. There's several reasons probably, but see that we would be more inclined to have more government controls on what money you have and where it goes. Now, they certainly don't. Government is not necessarily pro you owning gold, and yet they are the biggest gold coin dealer in the world, U.S. Mint.
Yeah.
So they're making money. The mint is one of the most profitable parts of the US government, probably.
Yeah.
So they're making money, and they, at this point, they don't care. But down the road, who knows what kind of regulations are going to come in. But I really think we'll probably leaning more towards a cashless society. And whatever they're using, you'll use that to buy and sell your gold. And I don't see them taking it away from people.
And security for you when you're buying big chunks of gold bars and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
What's the I mean, is there like military guards out there?
Well, we
Is
use Brinks for everything.
Okay.
So yeah, we
So
don't,
Brinks comes just like
yeah,
a bank.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
And we're in a bank, and a lot of our clients are with Bank of America, and they just come in and they do their banking there. They have safety deposit boxes there. They come in, they buy, they take it across, put it in the safety deposit box. When they're ready to sell it, they go in, take it out, and bring it back. And all we do is transfer the money out of their account or into their account. It's just as easy as can be.
So talk about the price of gold. Okay. We saw gold go up significantly past $2,000 an ounce. And then we saw it come back down, but it's still significantly higher. And a lot of this is based on money supply and kind of the money supply in the US and where gold should be. We talked about, or I've had questions from clients like, hey, gold's at 1750. Is this the right time to buy it? When is the right time to buy it per se? My advice to them is, look, if you're buying gold for the reasons I'm advising you to buy 1% or 2% of your assets in this precious metal, it's to hold it forever, right? Like not to trade it, right? To just buy it. So if you buy it for $50 more and it sells for $3,000 an ounce 20 years from now, who cares? But I'm guessing with your experience, is there an answer to that question on when's the right time?
Well, the right time is, of course, when the environment is yelling buy gold, which is what's happening right now. We're seeing the environment with rates still very low, inflation at 40-year highs or something. You're seeing things that are taking place. Plus, you're seeing currencies being devalued worldwide.
Yep.
It's not just the US dollar that we have to worry about. It's all the rest of the world. And so we're seeing, and one other thing is you want to watch where the central banks are, what they're doing. And the central banks in the 1990s, when gold was, like I said, very boring, they were sellers. They were net sellers of gold. And by around 2001, Britain, I think, sold off a big position of their gold that they had in reserves. And then Switzerland started doing it. It used to be Switzerland was like the gold currency of the world. I mean, Swiss francs were backed by gold, and then they diminished that backing to 50%, and then they diminished it to, I think, 25%. And then they started making old Swiss francs worthless. And I mean, we had people that used to hoard Swiss francs, the paper for Swiss francs, thinking that it was like holding gold. And that was back in the 70s and 80s. And those people bring those banknotes into us now, and they're totally worthless. They're non-redeemable, the old notes. So whoever heard of such a thing? So now you go back to what's real gold.
Yeah.
And so the Swiss bank or the central banks have been net buyers of gold in the last.
Is there anything
years.
you can tell, like based on the charts you see, that hey, this might not be the low, but this is a good time to buy it over the next few months?
Yeah, usually they have these old sayings like a rhino horn on a chart, or a fishing line. Like they just dropped a sinker, went all the way to the bottom.
Yep.
You want to look for opportunities like that to buy or even to sell. When you see gold go from $1,200 or $1,300, which it was a few years ago, and then run all the way up to the $2,000 area, which it hit pre-pandemic, around the pandemic. And then that kind of a move usually says sell, take advantage of a run like that, but then look for the buy to buy it back.
Yeah.
Because you never really want to be out of gold. You sell a position, maybe you have whatever percentage you're comfortable with in your portfolio, and maybe you sell half of it when you see a big rise. You know? But don't get into this, I'm going to trade it like it's like something I can buy and sell daily or something like that. Then you're going to end up missing the boat. You're going to miss great opportunities in the bigger moves.
Now, I know when I buy gold from you, it's real. I don't have any issues there. But people are buying gold from places that maybe are not as been around or as safe. When they buy gold, what are the few checkpoints that a layman can do to go, this is real?
There are actually, depending on how much gold you're buying, there's actually a machine now. It costs about $1,000, electronic thing, and you can actually use that to test your coins, and it has all the different coins on it.
It's like a red laser beam.
No, it's
kind of
actually a little box of the size of a small calculator.
Okay.
And you can put the coins on it and the bars on it and everything else, and it'll tell you. It has the ability to detect whether it's a pure gold or pure silver or whatever fineness it's supposed to be. We have in our offices more sophisticated thing that costs $20,000, which the average person is not going to buy.
Yes.
But, and gold, silver, all of the precious metals have specific gravities and specific characteristics about them that make it easier for somebody like us. A man came in yesterday with a bunch of, he thought they were gold bars. Oh, these have been handed down to me. And I looked at him, as he was handing them through the count under our bulletproof glass, I'm looking at him, I said, those are fake. And he said, how can you tell? They're in plastic holders and everything else. I said, I could just tell, but the average person could not. And then he had a bunch of silver dollars and they were all counterfeit. He said, well, we've had these in the family for many years. I said, no, you haven't. Those are the Chinese counterfeits that are being sold on eBay. So we get this, we deal with this all day long, and there are a lot of counterfeit everything out there. I don't care whether it's a Gucci bag or a pair of shoes or gold and silver. They're going to counterfeit it.
How many times a day or a week does somebody come in with something counterfeit?
Every day.
Really?
Every day. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And so that's why you have to buy from a company that knows what they're looking at, not just somebody who's brokering something for you or something. You need to know who they are, how long they've been in business, and do they have the backing to stand behind everything they sell.
Now, I believe, because I had my gold check from Tolving when I had bought it, that it was real. But do you know what ever ended up happening in that situation?
Just he went belly up.
He went belly up. Okay, so it wasn't a scam. It just more or less he didn't have the backing that he needed.
No, it did. He had a scam going.
He did.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So there might be some people out there that have gold that's not real gold.
Well, it wasn't just that. It was just that he was just doing things that were just not right.
Not right.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Enough said. Enough said. One of my last questions. So we walked away with a couple interesting things. Number one, get one of these machines if you're going to buy gold yourself or buy from a reputable place. By the way, if somebody's in Alaska and they can't come see you, can they still order from you?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have an 800 number. They can call us toll free. Lock in the price over the phone, wire the money the same day, and the product is shipped to them the next day.
And that's insured when it's shipped, I'm guessing.
Totally insured, yes.
Awesome. What would be one last piece of advice that's something we didn't maybe mention on this? You were driving over or you're driving home after you thought about this podcast, and you were saying, there was one point I probably should have gotten across, and I wanted the opportunity. Is there anything?
Well, on the way home, I'll call you and tell you what it was.
Then I can't get on here. Well, that might, maybe it can.
But yeah, basically just know who you're dealing with and stay away from people calling up at 9 o'clock at night, telling you they just got this great deal, and be very careful of buying things online and on eBay and things. I hate to use that name, but the truth is there's a lot of stuff that is being peddled, and they're just, if it's a legitimate person, they're not going to be selling you gold for less than the gold value or silver for less than the silver value. It just doesn't happen. And if the deal sounds too good, it's probably not real.
Probably too good.
Yeah.
Bill, how can people get a hold of you?
They can just call us. Our 800 numbers, 800-327-5010, 800-327-5010. They can email me at bill@youngermans.com. They can come to our offices in Boca Raton.
And the email and the website is williamyoungerman.com.
williamyoungerman.com. Or if you want to go to our museum site, it's hometowncurrency.org.
I went to it today, so I found it very interesting. Bill, thanks again for coming on. For advisors out there or anybody listening, if you have any questions, please reach out to Bill. There's not another guy known down here in the industry that has the expertise and the years in business and the reputations. And if you like this podcast, please join and please share. Thanks again.